Here are 8 ways that you could really F up a guitar solo. Now, keep in mind that these are just my thoughts, my opinions based on my experiences being a musician and a guitar teacher. But be sure to let me know, list in the comments below what you think are great ways to screw up a guitar solo. And also, please like and follow, because that really helps me to keep bringing the content. And one thing to keep in mind is I'm speaking terms here more generally as far as soloing, right? Because a lot depends on the genre of music you're playing, of course. Obviously, if you're playing shred, metal, you're going to be playing a lot more notes than if you're playing blues, right? So just keep that in mind. First one is playing for yourself and not for the song, right? So I'm not talking about, if you're practicing over a jam track or you're working on a guitar technique or something. I'm talking about, if you're creating a solo for a song. Just remember, in the end, it's the song that's going to be remembered, right? And sometimes I think we can get into trouble if we think a guitar solo within a song is this showcase for us to show our guitar abilities and our technical prowess and things like that. So you want to come up with something that has that connection, relates with the song, right? Just play for the song, not for yourself. Second thing, don't shoot your load right up front, right out of the gate, all at once at first, right? Because where are you going to go from there, right? A good guitar solos kind of tell a story, right? Like a song. They have a beginning or build, middle, climax, and an end, right? So, you got to kind of spread it out a bit within all that. Third thing, overplaying, just too many notes. Just remember, nobody likes the person that talks too much, right? And keep in mind that the listener is listening, and if they're just constantly being bombarded with note after note after note after note, it's hard to take it all in, unless they're a guitar player or a musician, they can't compute, I think sometimes we as musicians, as guitar players, think like we have to cram every idea and every lick and every note that we have in every solo. You really want to try to avoid overplaying and really screw up a solo. Fourth thing, out of tune notes, which could be very grating to the ear, and the notes could be out of tune for several reasons. It could be that you're bending notes out of tune, right? So you got to be really careful that you're bending in pitch. Your guitar intonation, you want to make sure that that's bang on, because if your intonation's off, that's really hard to fix later on. Or your guitar can just be out of tune. So make sure you check your tuning multiple times constantly through all the takes. 5, not enough space in your solos. And this goes kind of hand in hand with the overplaying bit. Just remember, sometimes it's really good to take a breath in that solo, right? And it doesn't have to be total dead air. You could like hold a bent note, let it ring, or hit a cool note with some vibrato. But taking that breath, that pause, really gives the listener a chance to kind of catch up and let it sink in, right? Maybe hitting a really cool screaming pinch harmonic and then bend that and vibrato that. There's really so much to be said for the concept of space. The 6th way you could really F up a solo is with a lot of unwanted string noise. And it's unavoidable as far as, when you're playing and bending strings and you're going to be hitting other strings. I mean, it's unavoidable. You're going to be banging into other strings, and you have to get very, very good at string muting. If you want to play a good solo, you have to be very good at muting the strings. And I use a two-handed method where I mute the strings, the lower strings with my pick hand and the higher strings with my fret hand. And if you want to learn how to do that, go to my YouTube channel, Rock On Good People, and just search for string muting or killing string noise, and it'll come up. But basically what you have to do is you have to mute out every note that you are not playing. Let me repeat that because it's critical. You have to mute out every note that you are not playing, or rather every string that you are not playing, because you only want to hear the ones you are playing. And this way, when you're hitting the other strings, they'll be muted out and dead and you won't hear them. But unwanted string noise, is a problem. So really work on the technique of string muting. 7, no use of repetition or melody in solos. And keep in mind that listeners, when the human brain listens to music, it kind of really likes to have something to latch onto, right? Like the chorus of a song, repeat, get to the hook fast, right? And I'm not saying you have to write your solos all sing-songy and, good, all puppies and flowers or something like that. But what you can do even in a shreddy type solo is, you could repeat a motif or a variation of that motif and run that through your solo. And then the listener has like this reference point or this lick. Oh, there it is again. Oh, what's he going to do with that? You see, so this use of repetition or the use of building melody with repetition is a really important concept in songwriting and in solos. It really helps to give the listener something to grab onto, latch onto, and sink their teeth into. And the last thing that could really F up a good guitar solo is you sound when you're playing like too much like scales or too much like straight arpeggios. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing scales up and back, up and back, up and back, or if you're playing arpeggios and you're just ripping them up and back, up and back, up and back, up and back. That's not music. That's just playing scales, right? You got to take those notes and do musical things with them, like we do with our techniques, bending, vibrato, hammers and pull-offs, and repeating your licks and creating cool licks, and then, varying them and whatnot. Just playing an arpeggio up and back, up and back, up and back, up and back. It's like technique on its own is not melodic, just that, right? Good arpeggio, and I love arpeggios, I use them all the time. Good arpeggio playing, in my opinion, kind of takes the arpeggios and it mixes them in with scalar notes and riffs and licks and things like that. Now you could just blast an arpeggio one up and back, and that's a cool little flashy thing. And there's certainly nothing wrong with playing, elements of flash or a piece of a scale flashy, right? But once you start doing too much scales, and you know what I'm talking about when you hear these solos and they just sound like scales, playing scales up and back is not musical. So you really got to work the notes. You really got to add your techniques, and then you start creating music. And it all goes back to what I say a lot, is taking the notes and doing musical things with them through our techniques, through the use of melody, through the use of repetition, through the use of variation, through the use of adding, whether it be modes or different arpeggios or different scales or different ways to express yourself, right? And it's all about the sounds, but doing things with them that are musical. Like and follow for more. Remember, your guitar playing is an evolution. Rock on.